One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. Bob Marley. He was more than a musician. He was a voice for the oppressed, a spiritual icon, a freedom fighter with a guitar. From the hills of 9 Mile, Jamaica, to the world stage, Bob Marley's legacy is immortal. In this video, we dive deep into the man behind the music, his rise from poverty, his powerful message and beliefs, his family, love life, and children, his near-death experience, and the global legacy he left behind. This is the story of a man who used rhythm as resistance. Welcome to the life of Bob Marley. Born on February 6, 1945, in the quiet village of 9 Mile, Jamaica, Robert Nesta Marley came into the world destined to shake it. His roots were as complex as his music. His father, Norval Marley, was a white British naval officer in his 60s. His mother, Cedella Booker, was a black Jamaican teenager just 18 years old. Norval was largely absent from Bob's life, leaving Cedella to raise him on her own. At a young age, Bob and his mother moved to Trenchtown, a tough inner-city neighborhood of Kingston. The streets were rough, but they were filled with rhythm. It was here that Bob found his voice and his sound. Continues over grainy clips of Jamaican youth, dancing and playing guitars, influenced by the ska and rocksteady sounds sweeping through Jamaica. Bob soaked up every beat. But it wasn't just music that shaped him. It was also his growing belief in Rastafarianism, a spiritual movement that gave him purpose, identity, and later, a platform. In these streets, a legend was being forged. A young boy from the hills with a dream, a guitar, and something the world desperately needed: a message. In the early 1960s, Bob Marley teamed up with 2 childhood friends, Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh. Together, they formed the Wailers. They weren't just a band. They were a revolution in the making. Blending Jamaican rhythms with bold, conscious lyrics, the Wailers captured the struggles of everyday life. But the road to stardom wasn't easy. In their early years, they faced constant rejection from the local elites, the media, and even some within the music industry. Reggae was seen as ghetto music, not fit for export, but Bob never backed down. The turning point came in the early 1970s when Chris Blackwell, founder of Island Records, saw something powerful in Bob. He signed the band and gave them what few Jamaican artists had: international exposure. In 1973, they dropped Catch a Fire, followed by Burnin', Rastaman Vibration, Exodus, and Kaya. Each album spread Marley's message of unity, resistance, and redemption to the far corners of the globe. Bob wasn't just a Jamaican artist anymore. He was a global voice for freedom. In 1976, just 2 days after surviving an assassination attempt, Bob walked on stage at the Smile Jamaica concert, with a bullet still lodged in his arm. Then, in 1978, he made history again at the One Love Peace concert, bringing Michael Manley and Edward Seaga, bitter political enemies, on stage for a symbolic handshake. In that moment, Bob Marley became more than a musician. He became a messenger of peace. By the mid-1970s, Jamaica was boiling with political violence. Rival gangs backed by political parties turned neighborhoods into war zones. In the middle of it all stood Bob Marley, a man preaching peace, love, and unity. Though he never officially took sides, Bob's influence was undeniable and dangerous. In 1976, just days before the Smile Jamaica concert, tragedy. On December 3rd, gunmen stormed Bob Marley's home in Kingston. He was shot in the chest and arm. His wife, Rita Marley, and his manager were also wounded. Many believed the attack was politically motivated. But Bob didn't back down. Just 2 days later, bandaged and bruised, he stepped onto the stage and performed for 80,000 people at the Smile Jamaica concert. That performance sealed his status, not just as a musician, but as a symbol of courage and resistance. In the heart of Kingston, something revolutionary was taking shape. A young Bob Marley, along with childhood friends Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh, formed a band that would shake the foundations of modern music, the Wailers. Together they began fusing raw Jamaican sounds with messages of struggle, faith, and freedom. But success didn't come easy. In the early years, they faced rejection after rejection. Reggae music was looked down on by Jamaica's elite and ignored by the mainstream music industry. The Wailers were too raw, too real, and too revolutionary for the system. That changed in the early 1970s when Chris Blackwell, the founder of Island Records, took a chance on Bob Marley. He saw more than just a band. He saw a global voice. Their first international release, Catch a Fire, 1973, opened the doors. The sound was roots reggae, but the energy was global. Soon came Burnin', Rastaman Vibration, Exodus, and Kaya.